Hi everybody, welcome to the presentation on planetary alignment and collective perspectives. We've been hearing a couple of keynote speeches about this very topic, in a sense, how to bring this level of global or planetary alignment in the level of consciousness. I think we could say that we're at a moment in time when perhaps the world has never been closer in certain terms. This movement called globalization has been making us more aware of what's going on in different parts of the planet. But of course, it's been happening very much more on a technological scale, let's say, and the consciousness, the accompanying consciousness that can take us to a truly global awareness has perhaps been lagging behind. And today we're going to hear about a practice and a project which has been put together, designed to support that very process of supporting this new or this emerging level of consciousness. It's led by Stina Deurell. Stina is the founder of the project, which is called Wider Embraces, the project and practice. Stina has been a leading member of Malmo Integral for many years, or was a leading member of Malmo Integral. And since the 1970s, she's been part of the Swedish environmental movement. Since 2012, her journey coalesced into the founding of Wider Embraces, which she's been developing and refining since that time. She's supported today by Hannah Hundorf and Matthew Paynton. Hannah is a Tibetan Buddhist practitioner and also a transmitter of the traditional Buddhist teachings in a way that's appropriate for the West. It's an alignment, I guess, isn't it? Building bridges, which is again the topic of the presentation. Another form of alignment with the East and the West. And Matthew is a life coach, and since his kind of awakening, or he calls about a crisis of anxiety, of recognizing the direction of global civilization and the perilous state of the world. And so he began to adapt his coaching to facilitate a process which he called deep adaptation, another form of alignment, I guess, between what's going on in a level of personal awareness and how we can expand that into a global reality. So yeah, look forward to hearing and enjoying this presentation with you, and I'd like now to hand over to Stina.
Thank you, Malcolm, for this introduction. Yes, so we've been thinking about how to start this, and I want to start it on a personal note. So Matthew, Hannah, and I will tell a little bit why we think this is important, this work, and then I will present it out, and you will also taste it. So Hannah, please, can you start? You're muted.
Yeah, I love the Wider Embraces, as this practice is called, and I've known it since its start for about 8 or 10 years, its development. And it's very much a group practice. It's very much about connecting and aligning with each other. And one of the amazing things of Wider Embraces is that when we're in the group, when we lean out into the embrace of the group, then it's both intimate and I'm also very free, very unconstricted, uncontrived. That's one very special quality of these embraces. And the other thing is that it helps us to heal our relationship to being human, and the relationship between humanity and the planet. And I think that a lot of us carry a lot of wound and guilt in that, and Embraces can really help with this. So that's my introduction, and love to hear from Matthew how he sees it.
Yeah, I took to this practice from the very first time I tried it. I'd been working with Stina for a while already, and I tried it. And one way I describe it is a bit like a gymnasium for exercising our capacity to change perspectives and shift perspectives. And the perspectives we take are science describes our interconnectedness, our fractal interbeing and interconnectedness, and this is a way of realizing that interconnectedness in a very personal experience. So yeah, I'm very taken with it indeed as a practice.
Thank you. Yeah, for me, I mean, Malcolm's told you that I've been part of the environmental movement since the 70s. So for me, this is really about the planet, about the future on planet Earth. I really love this planet. It's my favorite place. and how to come to terms with what's happening, how to be part of healing. As an environmentalist, it's a lot about fighting, being against, and sometimes that's needed. But I've also done a lot of Reiki healing, Zen meditation, and Aikido. So I've also learned there is another way to work with forces, especially in Aikido training. You take in and you transform the forces coming towards you. And I see this work as a continuation of both my environmental work and Aikido training. Yes, so now I will share my screen. And this is the program. Oh, we will, we just did this, why this is important to me. I will present the ideas and the theory for about 25 minutes. And then we will do a guided embrace. And I saw that there are some people here as well who have done it before. And so you will really get a taste of it. Then we have a short breakout group so you can share, and then sharing and some questions in the end. So, wider embraces, it's what this method, practice, way of perceiving the world is, and it's also a loose organization. People coming and joining, adding. It's really a collective process. It is about the collective, and the development has been a lot of a collective work. It's not, I'm the main person, been there all the time, but it has been so important. Everyone has added in different times, different roles. So I will start with telling you a little bit about how it came about. And it started 10 years ago when I was meditating. And suddenly I had this knowing that when I turn 52, I will go out the door free. And that was about 9 months before I turned 52. So that was an interesting time to deal with, am I going to follow this or not? But I did. So I got rid of my flat and all my stuff and went out the door free. And I called my journey Big Heart of Humanity. And I was just traveling for a year. And I spent some days at Hannah's place. So I moved through Europe, I came to Egypt, and I went to South Africa. And yeah, it was a quest. And when I had been for a while, for a couple of weeks in Cape Town, my integral coach, James Bay, he had been a wonderful coach, coaching me for a couple of years, really challenged me, made me grow. I wouldn't have been able to do this without him. But he fell down a cliff, and his last tweet was, "The more you commit to life, the more you can commit to death." And I was just thrown into a total existential crisis. He was so alive, and I was, yeah. So after a week after I learned about his death, I was walking on the beach in Cape Town, and this question came to me: who is embracing? And it came in a way that I knew this is what my journey is about. And I started to ask the question. And I started to get some glimpses. And since then, it has been 10 years of exploration, sensing and sense-making. And together, through shared experiences, it's really been, does this work? What happens if we do this? And the most amazing thing with this work is that it is a shared experience. So if it works for all of us. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It is a real, an inner reality or outer reality. It's not about our inner, it's about our outer reality processed through our capacity of making sensing and sense making. So what is an embrace? Yeah, it's everything I belong to. Everything with borders. It can be my family, any organization, ecosystem, continent, and also the widest ones, humanity, the biosphere, and the universe. So, yeah, if there is an object or objects with some kind of connections, there is this subjectivity, I call it. And if you're a part, you can access it. And this is important. We don't create embraces. We just become aware of them. So right now, the embrace of our group here, we are 25 people gathered. There is a we space, and it's nothing we create. It's already here. We just have to become aware of it. You can just close your eyes for a couple of seconds and just sense that there is an embrace of the 25 of us right now. And I belong here unconditionally. Open your eyes, and we're going deeper into that later. Okay, so now we're diving deeper into the theory, what we have figured out during these years. The last part came this winter. And because this is an integral conference, I will use some words, and I expect you to be to be able to follow me. I would have done it differently if it wouldn't have been an integral informed audience.
I'd just like to add there that lots of people do the practice without this background and information. This is the structure behind it all that we've come to, but it's really possible to do the practice without this theoretical background.
Thank you, Matthew. It's you don't need to understand it to do it. But integral people often like to understand things. So it's 7 steps. And we have these 3 layers. First, you have the concrete level, where we use a scientific map. So we start in the scientific, concrete, everyday realm. Then we have the subtle fields, the more feeling, sensing realm. And then the causal pure awareness. It's more the aware being. Then we have another divide, where we have personal perspective, when the person taking it's me taking the perspective, and collective perspective. And this is the feature, and I will go deeper into that later. Then we have the third divide, where we have active mode, doing it sort of, and passive mode. It's more receiving. And because you're integral people, maybe you're sitting there and thinking, how does this fit with the quadrants? It doesn't. You can put the quadrants maybe somewhere, but it's this is another way of slicing up reality. Okay, so I will go through all these 7 steps one by one. So separation, the first one. That's our normal way of being, and I will get back to that at the end. Then we have number 2, how interconnected we are. And then we sense into the scientific worldview, go into the physical, how I belong to planet Earth, universe, a house. We have the biological interconnections, both how ecosystems and how I'm related. And we have the cultural, how I'm part of humanity in different ways. And what I really love is to live in this time in history where science is telling us all of this. If you look at modern science, actually what they are telling us is how interconnected we are. It's all about interconnections. It's about interconnections in time, in space, inside, outside. It's amazing. And I'm one of these people who love documentaries and understanding all this. And of course, it's not this easy. Everything is intertwined. It's complex. So that's the second step, when we just become aware of this interconnectedness, very concrete. Then we dive into the subtle, feeling our belonging. So it's more of a sensing. And it's about how I belong unconditionally. And when you start to do that, it's such a relief. When you really sense that unconditional quality that has to do with the now, with the timeless. And then we have people struggling with this, especially with this. I mean, this is how it is. We have the embrace of humanity. That's part of the embrace of the biosphere. But for many people, there is a divide. You have culture on one side and nature on the other. So we have the humans that see nature as resources for humans. And we have nature humans who see humans as them who destroys. And I was one of them. For us nature humans, it hurts when nature it's hurt. Cutting down trees hurts. And the ones doing that are humans. So I'm not part of that. And this is not a healthy state. We do belong to both unconditionally. And to own that is the wider embraces. It really helps with that. Both if from each side of the divide you come, you can really heal that divide. So the question is, where do you belong? Have you healed the divide, or are you on one side or the other? So then we have collective perspectives. So we move into the causal pure awareness realm. So this is about shifting who I am. So our normal way of being is, it's me talking now, this person, Stina. And then I can shift and be identified as an embrace. And that is a momentary shift. It's either or, and you feel when you do it. So it's a shift of first-person perspective. And yes, I can say this, and you maybe think you understand it, but if you haven't done it, you can't think yourself into it. And it doesn't matter what size or what embrace it is. It's the same. I can take all my wider embraces as my first-person perspective. Then we jump into evolution, looking at this from an evolutionary perspective. So life has been around for about 3.8 billion years on this planet. And for almost 2 billion years, it was just single cells swimming around in the ocean, each with its own little embrace as an independent and aware creature. Then about 1.7 billion years ago, cells started to cluster together and form undifferentiated multicell organisms. And somewhere probably on that journey, they started to actually become one embrace, one awareness. And 1.2 billion years ago, they started to differentiate cells. And at that point, it really was a new organism, a new aware organism. And eventually, it became us, self-aware. This is also interesting. I mean, for an emergent level, it reduces complexity to 1. I have no idea what my cells are doing. I'm really happy they are doing their thing. I am 1. And my cells are also 1. And what I see is that the next step is that we also become aware as humanity. So we go from biological to cultural embraces. And I've heard several presenters of this conference tapping into this, pointing to it in different ways. And one thing that is important here is also, it is not a denial of the individual. It's an expansion. It's a double being. Yes. So the next step is we're moving into the active side and becoming permeable. This is the last part of the method that has emerged. And we called it the spooky corner for a while because we didn't really know what was happening. And it's a wordless experience. So, for example, as the embrace of humanity, I become permeable to the embrace of the biosphere. So it's an opening up to wider embraces. And I can become permeable to the embrace of planet Earth. It's an alignment, open to influence and alignment on a causal level. And don't ask me to be precise. It's more of an experience, but it's a really powerful place. So from this perspective, living and breathing together for the next billion years or so. Moving into aligning. So we go back into the subtle again as the embrace. And I lean inwards and hold and align all my parts unconditionally. So again, it's this unconditional quality. There's no discernment. As the embrace, don't have opinions. I heal and align everything that is me. So as embrace of my family, I lean inwards. As embrace of planet Earth, I lean inwards, hold and align all my parts unconditionally. And as embrace of the galaxy, I do the same. And the galaxy is a really interesting place. Yeah. Our sense is that we are not alone as intelligent beings in this galaxy. And the last, the middle, is about unfolding. Here we go into being ourselves again, single human beings. And I don't know if you know this figure as a horned Taurus. And it is a very, I found it just a couple of months ago, and it's such a powerful image. So it's the senses that all my wider embraces are unfolding through me as me. And I am unfolding all my wider embraces. So it's really this around and around. And I am at the center of all my wider embraces. So are everything, every part. And all parts of all embraces are at the center. So it's sort of being a node in a multi-layer infinite net. And when you really try, it's really complex and complicated. This is one way of just putting it into an image. But when you are here and you sense this unfolding, it's a surrender to what's coming through me, what I'm lived by. And it's also really a feeling of responsibility. What I do influence everything. Back to separation, where we started. Separation is great. We have agency, we have the evolutionary friction, and it is one reality. We can't have embraces without objects. We need all of it. So that was the 7 steps. And I'm looking forward to one multi-individual human species on one multi-species planet. And that's what we are working for. Hannah or Matthew, is there something you would like to add?
No, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. It was really
Okay,
wonderful.
thank you. Yeah. So it's time to do it. So I will guide you. If you have a headset nearby, please use it. It's the quality of having a closer hearing is good. If there's, when we do this in smaller groups, everyone contributes. It's really a common experience, but we can't do that with more than 30 people. So only Hannah and Matthew will talk, but you can sense into how they interact and see that that's how you will interact if you join a smaller group. A little thing, because we change who we are, if you are not mentally stable, I would say please don't do this. We so far no one has had any problems, but we don't know. And stay present with the process. It's easy to just zoom out and have a lovely time somewhere in space, but this is about please follow the process, and we will have a sharing afterwards. Okay, so I stop sharing and we can just look at
I'll just
everyone.
say that
Yeah.
probably we wouldn't want to let more people into the room from now on. There's no point.
Yeah, we could, the two people waiting right now, we could admit. So if everyone turn on the camera, so we could just sense who are here, because we will sense in embrace of the group. It's good to see each other. Just acknowledge who is here. Good. So now everyone can stop your video, so we don't have this self-awareness going while we're doing the embrace. And sit comfortable so you can relax. And Matthew, can you mute yourself while you're not speaking? Thank you. So we start with a deep breath. Here and now. Relaxing my shoulders. And all the small muscles in my face. Just being. And I become aware that I'm a physical body, pure matter, that I consist of particles, forming atoms, forming molecules. From this perspective, this is what I am. And the atoms that are me today have been around on this planet since it formed. They've been everywhere. High up in there, deep down in the ocean, part of the Earth's crust. Inside me is the whole history and geography of planet Earth. And the particles that are me today have been around since the birth of the universe. They were here when the galaxy formed and the solar system. And they've been in and out of exploding stars, forming heavier and heavier atoms. Inside me is the whole history of the universe. And as I'm sitting still here, I'm rotating with the planet, circling around the sun, turning with the galaxy, and expanding with the universe. I'm an integrated part. And I become aware of the embrace of the universe. The embrace that is holding me and everything created. And I rest in this embrace. I belong here unconditionally. In this embrace, there is nothing to do, think, or feel. Just pure being. And out of the physical, the biological emerges life. I'm a living, breathing being. I consist of cells forming organs, forming this complex human being. And I'm the result of a 3.8 billion year long unbroken chain of life, stretching all the way back to that first cell. And I'm related to all life on earth. We are one huge family tree. Living and breathing together in our global ecosystem. And I become aware of the embrace of the biosphere. Embrace that is holding me and all life on earth. And I rest in this embrace. I belong here unconditionally. In this embrace, I can feel a life force moving through me.
In this embrace, I become aware of the connections with other living beings. And I feel a sense of purpose and direction.
Mm. So, out of the biological, the cultural emerges. I'm a node in the human culture. Everything I become a part of because I'm born into this culture. Language, knowledge, arts, technology, science. Everything we humans love to share with each other. And we started to develop hundreds of thousands of years ago. First very slowly, and then faster and faster. And now we are interconnected and sharing, exploring, expanding our knowledge with an extensive rate. And for the first time in history, we are interconnected. This conference is one part of that connection, global interconnection. We are forming one humanity with many local variations. And I've become aware of the embrace of the human culture. Embrace that is holding me and all humans. And I rest in this embrace. I belong here unconditionally.
Sensing a busyness, or almost a fizziness, this embrace. And I'm aware of it more in the upper part of my body.
Mm. So I let go of these widest embraces, and I become aware of the embrace of me, the embrace of this single human being, the embrace holding the physical, biological, cultural, emotional, mental me. And I lean out into this embrace and become it. I am the embrace of me. I am all my parts as one. And I lean inwards, holding and aligning everything that is me. Letting every part of me slide into its optimal place. Heal and align. And I become aware that we are a group of people gathered here together. And that there is an embrace holding us. Embrace of the group. And I rest in this embrace. I belong here unconditionally. As Stina in this embrace, I sense a tingling energy and there's a density to it.
There's Matthew in the embrace of the group, sensing a steadiness, a spaciousness, and an intimacy.
Mm.
Yes, Hannah, in this embrace of the group, my heart is beating fast. I feel held very closely. I feel very safe and free at the same time.
Mm. So I lean out into this embrace of the group and become it. I am the embrace of the group. I am all my parts as one. And as the embrace of the group, I lean inwards, holding and aligning all my parts unconditionally. and the embrace of the group. I let go of that perspective. And I become aware of the embrace of humanity. Embrace of all human beings, all our relations. And I lean out into this embrace and become it. I am the embrace of humanity. I hold all humans unconditionally.
As the embrace of humanity, I feel very contained and strong. And lively, complex. And holding all my parts, I notice that I don't judge. I don't have good or bad, or better or worse parts. They're all me.
As the embrace of humanity, I feel joy and hope. I feel quite emotional.
So, as the embrace of humanity, I become aware of the embrace of the planet. And I become permeable to that embrace. Open to alignment and influence. Now, Stina, this is a wordless space.
As the embrace of humanity. I really feel like I'm receiving something from the planet, like a blessing or nourishment, information.
So I let go of these wider embraces. And change perspective back to being a single human being. I sense embrace of planet Earth all around me. And as I inhale, I sense that the embrace of planet Earth is unfolding through me, as me. And as I exhale, I sense how I am unfolding the embrace of planet Earth around and around. And I take a deep breath, stretch a bit, and get back to more normal. And when you're ready, you can turn on your camera again, if you like. Welcome back to this type of reality. Now you will have a chance to share a little bit what you experienced with two other people. And the question.
Naomi has their hand raised. I don't know.
Okay, sorry, I didn't see it.
Go ahead, Naomi, if you have a question. I've invited you to unmute.
Oh, thank you so much. It was deeply inspiring, and I consider it a fresh air as compared to the quadrant and lines model. So thank you so much for your sharing it. And I appreciate it. And I'm also working on something similar, interspiritual curriculum. And I was wondering if you have thought about creating a community, a school where children could be taught this early on so that they don't reflect the propaganda, national propaganda that they imbibe from the moment they're born.
Yeah, we have been thinking about that this should be part of life for kids, definitely.
And count me in,
yeah.
me in as somebody supporting you.
Thank you. We connect. So we will have more Q&A or ideas, but first a little breakout. Wait a minute, where are we?
Should I say what I experienced, even though I showed up a little late?
Yep, we will have a breakout groups, 5 minutes, where you can share, and then we will gather again, and there will be more sharing. Is that okay with you? So
yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So what was your most significant takeaway? So it's just 5 minutes, so listen to each other, don't comment, it's not a discussion. And the one with the longest hair starts, so you don't have to talk about that for 5 minutes. So Malcolm, could you make the breakout groups? But we have some time. We have 13 minutes. If there is questions, comments, and I think we can we let everyone unmute them, raise their hand, and then you can unmute them, Malcolm?
Okay.
Yeah, so just raise your hand and Malcolm will unmute you if you have something to.
I think he can unmute himself.
Okay.
Can you unmute yourself, Stefan? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi. So thanks for this very interesting experience. I really liked it a lot. I just have one question. And I had this before, so I sometimes did yoga nidra meditations as well. And so while we're doing your guided meditation, when we were expanding from humanity to the ecosystem, my first reaction was that I was somehow over flooded with sadness and with pain, and I had images in myself of like the burning Amazona and these kind of things. And then my brain somehow got awake. And so since I'm still a very cognitive person, and then I was doubting myself if this is really something I feel from a wider connection, or if these are just my images that I somehow absorbed from the media, and now I'm projecting them onto this meditation. And I guess my question would be, is there any way to differentiate between which could be like a feeling of a bigger interconnectedness and which is maybe just my projection? Or am I overthinking?
I totally get you. It's a very, very valid question. It's a great question. And the way of doing it is a bit of practice, and then we do it together, unpack it together.
Mm-hmm.
And the quality of the embraces is they are in the timeless now. So as the embrace, I don't have a past and a future. It's just now. So it is, I don't have opinions, because you can't have opinions in the now. It is the suchness. But of course there can be sadness and pain. But there is also this unconditional holding quality all the time. And I don't know if Hannah or Matthew will want to say something more on it.
Yeah, again, it is practice, but we're using our imagination to evoke the embraces, but the embraces really are. They do exist. and it's just at some point, sometimes I'm flooded with images, which are my imagination of the embrace. But I know I'm there in the embrace when it's just pure sensation. It has its own sort of energy feeling or energy density.
Thank you.
I think Sam wanted to speak. Sam.
Yeah, I don't really feel qualified to speak, to tell you the truth, because I showed up a little bit late, but I said some things about the different embracings in our breakout, and I was fortunate enough to have Stina in my group. But I do appreciate what I got, and just the notion that by tapping into these different sources or our deeper connection and things, the notion of what we can embrace changes. The notion of what's possible for us changes. And I can be more comfortable with not knowing, or my own fragility and vulnerability, or a lot of things that my word mind can't figure out, but this more natural level of feeling what it is to go through these different embraces is something that is almost miraculous. So with deep appreciation and gratitude, I want us to move on to the next person if we could.
Thank you. Yeah, I would just like to add that we have been working with this wider embraces now, but it's great to just work with your family or yourself or an organization as well. So it's really embraces all the way up and down, and the healing can be anywhere, any level. Okay, so anyone else? Yeah. Annika?
Hi.
Hey.
Hey, Stina.
Hey.
Hi.
Annika has been on the journey all the time from the beginning.
Yes, and it's interesting because I'm, not as active. I haven't been practicing this, like in a consistent way. But today, and I made like let's say, effort to kind of embrace from the body, let's say, rather from the head or something, which made a difference, because I can completely relate to what Stefan said and all of that. But so that to me, that I had to kind of consciously make this little effort to do that, and I really enjoyed it because I'm more sensitive to these energies or other kind of qualities than.
Tack. Thank you. Something else?
Yeah. Hi, Stina. Yeah, I just wanted to ask as well. What's the vision for how to get this out into the world and share it with the world? Is it going to be some? I mean, I guess various forms. So.
Yes, I can see that it has been 10 years of exploration and finding out what this is. And as I told you, some parts have just emerged lately. But our sense now is that it starts to be fair enough. And being here, joining this integral conference is one of the first steps out into the world. So yeah, I'm happy to be finding any different places where this can be told and spread, and having people joining in. I made a page on the website. I can put it in the chat, so you can go there and see. There's a special page for IEC, and if you like, you can join more embraces special for integral people. So Hannah and Matthew, have you something to say about this?
Yeah, I mean, there are regular, or sometimes there are embraces on a weekday for a series, or sometimes we have longer embraces on Saturdays, which I love, 3-hour embraces with a break, and then you can dive much deeper. And now Stina has created this special offer that's starting after IEC for integral people, hoping to spread out into the integral world. I would love that.
What we couldn't really model today was how chatty and personal the embraces. When you've tried it a few times and you know what an embrace is and how to hold it, it can become more insightful and chatty. We have a lot of fun talking about the insights from the embraces. And I've also experimented a bit with coaching from embraces. So for example, while I'm holding the embrace of the group, me and the coachee, they can evoke the embrace of their family, and we can get insights and work with the interrelational, what's not working in that for them in that family. Yeah, so as coaching, I will be exploring the potential a lot more.
Yeah, and I see a potential for leadership coaching or organizational for organizations. I've done it with a few organizations, and it's amazing when people start to really sense that the organization is an embrace, and it's not only I think and you think, it's about what does the embrace of the organization want, and listening to that and sensing to that. So I'm looking forward to having some skilled leadership people finding this, or I find them. So yeah, and more coaches.
Susanna has raised her hand.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. It was really powerful for me. And I raised my hand when Matthew was talking because I arrived here with a personal thing that just happened, like that altered me. And in the practice of the embrace of wider things, suddenly this shadow like got into light, and I could also a personal thing, and I could also embrace it while we were doing the embracement of the wider thing. So it's really been very powerful for me and healing. So I'm very thankful.
Thank you for sharing. Lovely. Mm. Hmm. Yeah. 2 minutes left, I think. Okay, hi, Cecilia.
I was really delighted the way my body responded. I just involuntarily began to use my hands to stretch and almost dance and widen and embrace. For each level that you invited us to, it was like a bigger stretch, and I was like holding Israel and Palestine and Yemen and all of the areas of humanity that are suffering, and the mice in Australia. And it was like this, this holding and also being held. So it was, as Suzanne said, a very powerful experience for me too. So I would really appreciate more practice on this for sure.
Yeah,
thank you.
Welcome. You're welcome. Yes. Yeah, practice. I mean, we integral people are normal. I mean, we have meditation experiences, and so it's easy to tap into this. But even when I do it with my just normal postmodern friends, they actually get it quite easy. So it's, yeah, there is a potential to reach a lot of people and starting to build a more embraced world. Yes.
Do we have time for Theodora?
Ah, good that you're.
We have time. We have time for a very brief question and
Yeah.
response. Yeah, wonderful, lovely to hear from you, Theodora.
Thank you. As I am right now starting this week, I started mindfulness course, and I'm in addition to being a professional coach, I'm also interpreter and translator. And just like you cannot translate coaching in any language or mindfulness, while I was doing the practice, one of my takeaways professionally is that if we use phrases like holistic mindfulness / or dash embrace, I can easily interpret what embraces, and it gives a lot of meaning of what we just did. So I'm just thankful for the practice. It helped me expand even more.
Thank you. Malcolm, you are muted if you said something.
Yeah, I just saw that. Okay, so we come to the end of this session. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here, and for Stina guiding us through this beautiful meditation, and this bringing us to awareness again of something that's always there and has always been there. So I really feel a lot of peace in my heart, and really feeling such a privilege to be part of this community with all these riches. Thanks so much for being here, and for Hannah and Matthew as well, supporting.